Okay. All right. Here we go.
So welcome everyone. I'm Saran, founder of Code Newbie, and this is...
I'm Scott. Hello. How are you?
So we've teamed up, Code Newbie and Hansel Minutes have teamed up for Marches for Makers, which is our month-long celebration of everything making. So if you know us, you know that we probably have some podcasts we do every week covering different tech topics. And so this month we're going to focus those podcasts and blog posts and these videos on hardware stuff. So I'm super excited for our very first live video, and hopefully you'll learn some stuff. I know I'm going to learn some stuff because Scott, if you can see Scott's background right there, he's definitely got the hookup when it comes to the maker stuff. Very nice. And he's even positioned certain cameras for us just for these sessions. You want to do a little demo of the awesome camera setup you have?
Well, so last time it was our first Marches for Makers 2015, and our whole process consisted of me holding a webcam blurrily at stuff.
Trying to focus on doing that.
Exactly. We don't have Leo Laporte quality video here. We are Goodwill or quality, which is totally fine, But here's what we got. So we got main shot here. And then if I click and switch over to one of my other webcams, we're going to be able to show you. Tell me if that looks all right. Isn't that beautiful? So what we've got here is we've got our Raspberry Pi 3 and some different equipment that you and I are going to talk about. And we're going to get it all working. So the idea is we're going to not just unbox, which is fun, but we're going to set it up from scratch. And then I'll also be able to project it onto, hopefully, if we do this, because I haven't done it yet, we'll send it over here.
Ooh.
To this monitor, and then theoretically I'll share my screen, and we'll get it all set up and maybe do something with it. So that's going to be the theory. So it's pretty fancy, but really all it is just a couple of webcams and a little bit of clever positioning.
That's
so
all you need.
Feeling pretty good about it. We'll see how that works out. And it's all live, right? So we may make mistakes. We'll go and Google for the result.
And what I love about this is last time when we did these live tutorials, these live demos, things were kind of a little set up already. They were already outside the box. And this time we're unboxing it. We're starting from absolutely zero. So hopefully that'll encourage you to not be intimidated by hardware, and you can start just like we did.
Yep, exactly. Cool. So let me switch over to here, and we'll take a look at the hardware that we've got and talk about some of the issues involved. And then I'll also share my screen as we set up the software.
Wonderful.
So this is a Raspberry Pi Model 3. This just came out. It came in the mail about 2 or 3 hours ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hot and fresh.
There's a couple of different Raspberry Pis. There's been the Raspberry Pi A and the B. There's Raspberry Pi 1 and 2 and all these different things. These are different Raspberry Pis. Here, these are little tiny portable computers that are about $35. And they have USB and they have networking and all sorts of great stuff. But the new one, I just bought this from a company called Element 14. That's where you can find that online. The new one, if you look here in the back, it actually tells you the different models, right? So we are looking at one that has a gig of RAM and a quad processor, and it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth support. So pretty exciting, the Raspberry Pi. So let's take a look and we'll see what's going on here.
Wonderful.
One of the things about a Raspberry Pi is it's not a laptop. It's not a PC that you get a nice big container for. It comes in a bag, and there's no cables. This is a really important thing to note. If you go and buy one of these and expect to get started right away, you may be disappointed if you're not prepared. So it's good that we're talking about this. So that's what it is.
Very nice. It's so small.
It is about the size of a deck of cards, in fact.
Yeah. How does it feel in terms of weight?
I would say it weighs basically nothing. I would say it's probably, you have to have 4 or 5 of these before it would weigh as much as an iPhone. It's so thin. It's basically nothing. It's just a board. You've got HDMI here, right?
Yep.
You've got a headphone jack. You've got a micro USB right there. That's for your power. We've got a network slot. And then this one has got 4 USB, which is nice. Yeah. And the thing that makes a Raspberry Pi special isn't that it's a tiny computer. It's that it's a tiny computer with what are called GPIO ports, or general purpose IO ports. So this lets us plug things into it. We can basically, maybe get an LED blinking if we wanted to.
So this is the Raspberry Pi 3, and we saw that you had some of the older versions. Is there anything that stands out to you that's different about this visually?
Visually, not too much. In this case here, it's the same general layout.
Mm-hmm.
They have upgraded the processor to be a lot faster. It's still not to the point where you'd use it as your own personal desktop, but given that it's a $35 computer with a gig of RAM, it's pretty fantastic. You'll notice also that we haven't talked about disks. Where's the hard drive?
Oh.
Well, it uses a micro SD card for the hard drive, and you can see there's
Wow.
no SD card included.
Mm-hmm.
Something else to watch out for. So what use is it if it doesn't give you anything out of the box, right?
Right.
Well, this is a great project and a fun project for kids. It's $35, but you need a few things. So I went and I got a few things. Now here's a couple of gotchas. You need a micro USB cable for power.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this if you really want to be successful, you need about 2 amps or 2,000 milliamps of power. So I went to Goodwill and I bought a bunch of these phone adapters.
Mm-hmm.
These are the little phone adapters that have a USB connector. All right.
Oh, wow.
Now, I don't know how successful this is going to be. Yeah, you got these lying around, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are sitting in your kitchen. Let's see if we can do this with the tiny. Let's see if I can zoom in there.
A little bit further back.
Hang on. We'll give. Oh,
Oh,
see, there it is. See, it says 5.2 VDC 1A. See that 1A?
Yeah, what does that mean?
That's 1 amp. Okay, so we really want 2 amps. And the reason is that when you plug something into USB, each one of these is supposed to be able to put out up to a half an amp of power. So even if you plug in something tiny like a mouse, it needs power. You plug in a keyboard, it needs power. You plug in a webcam, it needs power. These things all in aggregate add up to as much as 2 amps or sometimes 2.5. So this is only an amp, probably could boot it, but wouldn't get me much more than that. So that's a no. Here we've got another random. That one says.
Oh, it's hard to read.
That is hard to read. Let me.
Is that 0.2 amps?
8. See the MA there? 850 MA on the third line.
Oh, yes, there it is.
So that is less than 1 amp.
Right.
So that's no good.
That's not going to do it.
No. So here's another one. Let's get that one. 2.1A.
Nice.
So this is like those the new iPads. You know, they've got the iPad. You can use those as well. So you take this and you take that, and that's going to be our power. So the reason that I point out Goodwill is that if you don't have these lying around, your Goodwill does. You know, and by Goodwill I mean your local thrift shop. So that's going to be our power. So I'm just going to plug that into the thing here. But
so I'm surprised that there are so many different levels of power for these. I kind of thought there'd be, a standard.
Yeah,
yeah.
The problem is that these folks didn't design these to be generic power adapters. They designed them for the phone that they were meant for. Yeah.
So could I do 2 of them and put them together, or I'd have to find the one that's more than 2?
You basically have to find one of these that is at least 2 amps or more. So unfortunately, I don't know of a way to kind of do anything in parallel. Even plugging it directly into your PC doesn't always give you that kind of power. The best explanation is if you're an iPad or an iPhone person, you know that iPads need a lot of power and iPhones don't.
Right.
You want to use the larger iPad one. And a fun exercise would be to go and look at your iPad power adapters, compare it to your iPhone, and you'll see the difference between an amp or 2 amps there. Yeah. Okay, so power is something to think about. That's the first thing we need. We're going to plug that into here. Second one is a keyboard. And you can go and grab a keyboard. You can get any USB keyboard. I've just got, this is a Microsoft kind of random keyboard. You can use any USB keyboard you have lying around, as well as any mouse. So here would be a solution. Right? I bought these again at Goodwill. Tiny USB keyboard, tiny USB mouse. The thing here is that I'm going to need to use up both of these USBs, leaving only 2 free, depending on what I want to do. That might be fine. But I found this adorable tiny keyboard.
Oh my God, that is so cute. I was wondering what that was. I was like, it looks like.
Isn't that freaking amazing? Check this out. That's the mouse.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I'm dying. I love this thing. So this is just the cutest thing. It is a super cheap piece of, whatever from God knows where. I don't even know the name of it. I'm sure if you go and Google tiny Raspberry Pi keyboard, but it's not meant for the Raspberry Pi. I guess it's just meant for people who want a keyboard in their pocket. What's great about it, though, is if you pull the side out here, that's the transmitter. It's inside of it. So this will be our tiny mouse and tiny keyboard.
And it's wireless too.
It's totally wireless, and it's supported by the Raspberry Pi. The drivers are there because it's a standard mouse and a standard keyboard. So we're going to use that. And there's even a plans online where you can make a tiny laptop, and they could fold up like this. So don't know how useful that would be. So that'll just go in here, just a little dongle. Okay.
So in general, if I get a USB mouse and keyboard, can I safely assume that it'll work, or do I have to worry about compatibility issues?
That is a brilliant question. Fantastic question. So for mice that report themselves as standard mice, if you plug it in, it goes, yeah, I'm a regular mouse, just fine. But if your mouse is a Bluetooth mouse, or if it's a fancy Microsoft mouse or a fancy Logitech mouse that has drivers and things, you could have problems.
Okay.
Also, I understand that if with some of the earlier Raspberry Pis, if it pulls more than 500 milliamps or 1/2 of an amp, the Raspberry Pi might just say, nah, you're a mouse, you don't deserve that much power. I'm not sure if those issues have been fixed, but I found that, ironically, the cheaper and the more generic the mouse, the more likely it is to work. So little $5 kind of like, generic mice from China work better than expensive mice, in my experience. Okay, so we're going to have our mouse and keyboard. That's handled. We're going to need some networking. We can do can get little Wi-Fi dongles. We can hook up Wi-Fi, but I just have a little networking cable, and then I've got my little. I can't really see. Let's lower this down. There you go. I've just got a little tiny router here. Another, and again, I don't mean to overemphasize Goodwill or thrift stores, but the reason that I point that out is that I don't like spending unnecessary money, especially when I'm just learning or I'm getting started. So there's no reason to go and buy a $50 router. I bought this one for $10 at the thrift store.
And it's really encouraging too, because that's one of the things that came up in tonight's Code Newbie Twitter chat, where people were saying, well, how do I become a maker and how do I do all this stuff without spending lots of money? So knowing that you can get all this stuff, at really cheap places is very helpful.
Yeah, honestly, everyone's got a thrift store or a generic place to have these things. There's no reason to spend more than you need. So that's just going to be a network cable, and you can plug that directly into your router if you happen to have your maker space near your router. And again, we'll talk about ways to get Wi-Fi working a little bit later. You see that's a little bit stiff, so it's picking up this thing. So here I've got my mouse and my keyboard. I've got my networking cable. We're all set. We've got power, but again, we haven't talked about the disk. So let's do this. I'm going to switch back over to another camera, and let's have a chat about setting these things up. So what I'm going to do is share this screen for us, and we'll go and figure out how to set this up, shall we?
Sounds good.
Okay. So I'm just here, and this is what I did. Right? I mean, set up Raspberry Pi. This is what I did. Nothing wrong with that. So they've got a great new setup, and it's called, and you're going to love this, it's called Noobs.
Yes.
Isn't that awesome?
Power to the newbies.
Yes, getting started with Noobs. So Noobs has got a couple of different ways. It's called New. This is the great part. They actually tried to give it an acronym.
Legit, yeah.
We weren't trying to say you're noob. It's a new out-of-the-box software.
I'll take it.
And what it is it's an operating system manager. So rather than you having to go and get an operating system, it tells you how to go and set these things up. Now, what's great about this is that you can use an SD card, a tiny card that you use in your camera, or you can buy these SD cards with the Noobs pre-installed. So so if you're setting this up for your family, from Adafruit or any of their partners. So what's nice about that is that if you don't want to take the time, or maybe it's too technical for you to take the time to set up an SD card, you can buy them pre-installed. So that's super nice.
That's good to know.
They've done the work for you. But to be clear, this doesn't cost you anything. So what I did is I got an SD card, and an SD card, of course, is a tiny, tiny thing. And I'm going to turn my camera back. and show you this because there's these mini SD cards, which are quite a bit smaller. So, oops, where did I? There I am. So we're talking about. I'm always afraid I'm going to lose one. Look at that. That's
Oh, that's
32,
so small.
32 gigs. You know, I always wonder why James Bond has a 2-hour movie to get information from one country to the other. He just put it under his tongue. And it's like, you know, go through customs. Do you have anything to declare? No. The movie's over at that point, so I don't know what's going on. So what you can do then is you take these micro SD cards, and you can get these. I got these for $9 on Amazon. Okay?
Wow, pretty
You
good.
put them in a little adapter.
Mm-hmm.
It looks more like a regular SD card. And you can plug it into your computer if your computer has a slot. Or if you don't have a slot, you can get one of these little right SD card to USB dealies.
Yes.
I'm going to plug that into my machine here. And it goes bump, 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 right? So now it shows up as a disk. So let's go and see what that looks like. So it's thinking. And let me share my screen again.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And where did it go? It's thinking. So it makes this G drive. Now, I did some work to save us some time because I didn't want to have to waste your time, but I'll tell you what happened. What we did is I downloaded this thing called the SD card formatter. And that's a special thing for, you know, cleaning out SD cards, basically making them totally fresh. And then you download the Noobs application. And the Noobs is this zip file. It's about a gigabyte. So it's rather large. It'll take you, you know, 20 minutes. Then you're going to unzip it. Now, this can be a little bit overwhelming for people, but all you have to do is double click on it and then just drag everything from here over to the SD card. Another way you can do it is copy and paste. But the point is, get those files over onto that card.
Okay.
Once you do that, again, that might take 15, 20 minutes to do. You've got this tiny little card, and that card is going to have the beginnings of an operating system. It actually doesn't have the operating system. It has this operating system manager, they call it. Okay, so what we're going to do is if we put this together right, and if I did this correctly, I should be able to plug it in, and we should see something happen. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this camera back over to here. And remember, one additional thing, I didn't plug in any kind of a video, so there's no monitor here. But here's our tiny.
How will we know?
This is a good question. So you can run a Raspberry Pi, what they call headless. So what this means is no monitor. So you set it up to do its job using a monitor, and then when you're done, you take off the monitor, and then you can take a battery and you can put it in your garage or wherever you're going to install it. They don't need monitors to do their jobs. So I just put the disk in here, and I just shoved it in there, and it's kind of there on a tension fit. Okay, and then I need to plug it into HDMI. Another good thing for people to think about, because this HDMI works on anything, a TV set, even if you want a TV set, right? So you don't have to have a monitor. If you don't have a computer monitor, maybe you're a laptop person, if you can find a TV or any HDMI thing, you plug it in. So there's my HDMI. Okay, so let's do an inventory here. Mouse and keyboard, network, video, optional, speaker, and then power. Now, power is going to come from our micro USB. I'm not going to plug it in yet, because what I'm going to do is switch my camera to look at our monitor here and see if we got it right, because otherwise we're going to be debugging. Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Indeed. All right. So here's the monitor that I've got lying around.
Okay.
This is going to be my extra. So I'm going to just plug this in. So I'm plugging in the Raspberry Pi to the 2 amp. Oh, so this is some kind of success. What you're seeing is a rainbow. Yeah, you know, you're seeing a rainbow here, right? And let's see what happens here.
I see a window.
All right. So what this is saying is, and it's going to be difficult to see, this is one of the challenges, until I come up with a way for us to see this. Let me try one more way, because taking pictures of screens like this is challenging. So I'm going to bring you over here. and it is saying,
Mm-hmm.
oops, it's saying Noobs version 1.8. And this is kind of cool, and I can use my tiny keyboard.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, that thing is adorable.
And just need to turn it on, I think. Okay, it has an on-off switch. There we go. See the mouse?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I've got Raspbian, which is their Linux. It's the Debian. It's the Debian Raspberry Pi.
Yep.
We've got Windows 10
Okay.
at the bottom there. It's called Windows 10 IoT Core.
Huh.
Yeah. Windows for devices. IoT means Internet of Things, and Core implies that it's not full Windows. Yeah.
Right.
So we'll pick Raspbian. Windows is fun, but it doesn't give you full Windows. So it's great for developers, but if you're going to have your family and friends and kids going to use a web browser, Raspbian is probably a good recommendation. Okay.
Okay, so getting up to this point and even having access to this manager, you were able to do that just following the setup guide and watching the video beforehand?
Yeah, let's think about what we had to do. I had to have a keyboard of any kind. I had to have an HDMI cable and something to plug it into. I needed power, and that was really the biggest thing. I needed power that was a good, reliable power supply. So I needed a 2 amp or a high quality, like a Samsung Galaxy power adapter, not a little tiny old style power adapter. And then I needed that little SD card, which is about $8 on Amazon. So I would say the power and the SD card was the trick. That cost me the most. So if you wanted to set this up and you didn't have those things, that would slow you down.
Yeah. Or you didn't know you had to have those things.
Right, exactly.
And how did you know, by the way? Was it a trial and error? Or did you do the research beforehand?
Yeah, I went around and I researched a little bit beforehand, and I went and looked up what was needed. There's a list up on Raspberry Pi that tells you what you need.
Nice.
And it was pretty straightforward to go and just find those few things. It took just a couple of hours at the thrift store.
Wonderful. All right. Let's do the Raspbian.
So I'm going to go and hit install, and it says, warning, this will install the selected operating system. So I am destroying my my SD card. So if you have any pictures on it or anything, you know.
Well, I assume that would have been cleared out by the formatter.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a very good point. Thank you. The initial formatter was one warning, and this was just another warning that
double warning. Yep.
Yeah, be careful because you're going to hurt yourself. Now, at this point, I don't know how long this is going to take or what's going on. It is thinking, and it's saying extracting file system. And it says it's going. Sometimes it's going 2 megs a second or 3 megs a second. So we will we'll let that go for a little bit, and then if that doesn't finish really quickly, I will switch to a Raspberry Pi that I already have set up in order to save time. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Have you done any Raspberry Pi?
No, only through you. I've vicariously done it through you.
Oh my goodness, well, that's exciting. Yeah, it's super fun. And what's great about these too is that you can have a couple of them. You know what I mean? I've got just 2 here, and I've got 1 on the desk now. So I'm sitting here with a number of these Raspberry Pis, and again at $35, and the ability to do what they call dual booting. Right? You know how on a Windows machine or a Mac you can boot into different operating systems. Well, on a Raspberry Pi, you just change the disk, so you could have one Raspberry Pi and multiple inexpensive SD cards. Right? Just swap them. You can have a Windows card, you can have a Linux card. So each project could be a different card, and you wouldn't need to have multiple Raspberry Pis if you didn't want to spend the money.
But you wouldn't have 2 operating systems on one card.
Right, that's a great point. You would need just you would need 1 operating system per card, and 1 Raspberry Pi that you switch around as you like.
Right.
Okay. Let's get a little white balance there. I'm not usually that scary looking. Oh, this is an interesting thing. If you ever find yourself doing video, the reason that I'm so lit up on this side is that the Raspberry Pi is doing its job in an all-white screen, so it's actually lit up for us right now.
Yeah.
So it's 16%. Okay. So we'll let that one do its thing. And one of the ideas that I had would be that we might be able to get an LED to light up. And where is my little LED thingy here? One of the things you'll find if you start doing any kind of maker stuff is you will have a pile of crap on your desk that'll go all over the place. So here is one of my Raspberry Pis. This one here is at 20%. I don't want people to wait too long. It looks like it's going to take, another 10 minutes or so. Okay. So in the interest of time, I'll take this Raspberry Pi, and I've got this one, if I remember correctly, paired to this keyboard and this mouse. So let's pretend this one's finished, and I'm going to put these down, and then I'm going to just grab a adapter because I don't want to turn mine off while we are running stuff here. I could just pull the cable out of this one here, but I'm realizing that probably would mess up my installation. Doing two things at once is another fun maker thing. So here I'm just looking for a cable, another cable, and then I'm going to go and grab my iPhone adapter just to show you how it really is that easy.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I mean, you have this, the thing is, we have more stuff lying around than we realize, I
was gonna say, do you have basically a box of cables and wires? I think I have one of those too somewhere, and I never know what to do with it, but now I know.
Well, I think we do have these things lying around. We have cables from USB, from our phones and from our tablets. I know we all have a pile of micro USB cables, so I don't feel bad. What I'm looking at now is if I pull this cable, is that important? And is that important?
Do I need this?
Yeah. I don't think I need that. So I'm going to plug this one in.
Okay.
Our Raspberry Pi is at 35%.
Oh, that's pretty fast.
So we will do that. Yeah. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug the video.
Okay.
And I'm going to plug it into the new one. And I'm going to assume that the other Raspberry Pi is going to do its job. I'm not unplugging the power because I want it to keep going. And then we're going to go and plug into the one that I set up before. Okay. And oops, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what a Raspberry Pi looks like when it boots up.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So here we go. We're totally black. I'm going to plug it in. This is one that's farther along in the process. So you get that colorful, and then all the Linuxy stuff goes by.
Yeah.
This is going to be familiar if you've ever played with anything like this before. But the thing that you want to see here are these 4 Raspberry Pis at the top.
Okay.
Showing 4 processors because it's a quad processor machine. Yeah, isn't that crazy? So then I'm going to turn on my mouse, and then you get this Raspberry Pi logo.
Love that
now,
logo.
I think we can agree that this part of the Hangout isn't super classy. So how can we bring this and share it to the screen? So what I want to do is I want to run what's called a VNC server. VNC is this thing that lets you remote desktop. Let's see, VNC. Let's go ahead and switch over here. I'm going to show you my screen, and I'll show you exactly what I'm going to do because I don't know what I'm doing. I do know that VNC exists. So I'm going to say VNC Raspberry Pi. And we're going to go out there and do the Google. Times. Hello. You're still there, but Google is not.
I know. Where'd it go?
Oh, that was weird. Maybe this was the day that Google died.
Oh, no.
I would not wish that on. I wouldn't. Let's try DuckDuckGo. Google's not going to load for me. Raspberry Pi VNC. Well, that's a weird thing, isn't it? I think Chrome might be upset.
No. It's mad at us.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Let's try it again. Okay. Let's see.
There we go.
There we go. Okay. So here is there's lots of different VNCs out there, virtual network something. I don't know what VNC stands for.
I was going to ask you what it stood for.
I figure virtual network out. The C is probably computing or something like that. Okay. And it says on your Pi, you go and do this, install this VNC server. let's see, just to double check VNC Raspberry Pi. There are probably multiple ways to do this. And this is going to let us connect remotely. So here we go, getting started with a Raspberry Pi. Here's someone saying how to do it. Sudo apt get install tight VNC server. So they're just giving me some commands to type into my Raspberry Pi. Sudo super user do is what sudo stands for.
I did not know that's what that stood for.
Isn't that great?
Oh,
Yeah.
super user do.
Super user do.
That was fun.
And I just realized that I'm missing a I'm missing a what's the word here? A battery.
Oh,
So
for your
here's
keyboard.
for my keyboard, yeah. So what I'm going to do is I've got only one battery in my keyboard.
Oh.
It's tragic. But because I care about you guys, I'm going to take the one battery that I know I do have, which is the one out of my insulin pump.
Wow, that's love.
That's the love I have for the makers, because I know there's one in here. Yeah, I don't have an ability to get that open. Hang on 1 second and entertain the crowd. And I'm going to go and get a battery.
Sure. Okay, so apparently it's my job to entertain you. Don't know what that means, because I don't have as many cool toys as Scott does. I do have a projector, though. Look at that. See that? Some pretty amazing stuff.
Alrighty. What did I miss? Something awesome?
I was showing them the awesome white screen behind me.
Yeah?
That's my makerspace. It's projector.
I need to do that too. I need to get a whiteboard for myself. Here we go. All right. So we're going to switch over to this other camera. And remember that the goal of all of this is going to be that we'll be able to see the Raspberry Pi directly. So let's switch over to here. You're probably not going to be able to see what I'm doing right now, but I'm just typing in what's on the page here. It says sudo apt get, and that says, go and get this piece of software. Install tight VNC server. Hit enter, and then it says, hey, I know what that is. I can do that. And then then I just have to type, if I remember correctly, tight VNC server to run it. Okay, and it says it's running. Okay, great. And then I need to figure out what the name of this is. So I'm going to type in host name, and it says I'm a Raspberry Pi. So it should be on my network as a Raspberry Pi.
Cool.
Host name. You can type in who am I, or you can type in host name. Let me see if I can. Okay, so I'm going to switch back over to my machine. Switch our cameras. Hope this camera thing's working. There's a lot of work to set it up.
No, it's great.
Yeah. Well, Google Hangouts does not want to let me share my screen anymore, which is a sign of ironic if you think about it. Let's
hasn't been very nice to us today.
Because when I hit the share it thing now, it's just empty.
Oh.
So the question is, if I just hit refresh, will you still be here?
I hope so.
You want to try?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, man. Okay, I'll see you on the other side.
Life on the edge. I hope he makes it back. Might just be me and you.
Hey, friend.
There we go.
All right, let's see if that fixed it. I think it did. Computers, friends, computers. All right, so here's a program called Tight VNC. Again, there's lots of different ones. There's Tight VNC and there's Real VNC. So I'm just going to type in the name of the Raspberry Pi. And it says :1. It says right here I'm supposed to type in :1. Let's see if that works, and I'll hit connect. So it says no such host is known. So that makes me think that maybe the name Raspberry Pi isn't yet on the network. So you can go back to your Raspberry Pi and you can type ifconfig, and that should tell you the address, the Ethernet address. And remember, here's the problem. Remember how I switched everything around, but I never plugged in the cable?
Oh.
I never plugged in the cable, the networking cable. So
it actually isn't online.
So this is good though, because I think people are going to catch these. If you do a bunch of demonstrations, you know, and they always work, then nobody learns. So cable.
Yeah.
This is called a patch cable. These are great. I like these because they're tiny. It's a 1 foot.
Really small.
1 foot cable. No sweat. So I'm going to plug in our Raspberry Pi over into that little router. And these little 4-port routers are fun for making because it gives you a reliable connection. So then I'm going to go and type ifconfig interface config, and it says it's 192.168.0.111. Okay. That sounds like a number that I can count on. And now we'll go back. Yeah, I hope so. It looks real. I mean, again, we're learning, and I make mistakes like this all the time. So I'm going to type in 192.168.0.111.
Oh, that's a dash. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, excellent. Target machine actively refused it.
Actively.
That's kind of taking it personal at this point.
Right.
So I added the :1.
And where did you get that :1 from?
So when I set up this thing the very first time, it said I'm a called Raspberry Pi :1, and then you see here, 1 is like console number 1 or console number 2. Apparently, you can start multiple VNC sessions.
Oh.
So multiple people could theoretically use a computer at once. They each get their own. Excuse me. They each get their own session.
So
now, as I work. Go ahead.
How did you know not to do the rest of that, the dash geometry one?
That's a great question. So I am not really a command line person. This is what they wanted me to type at the command line. I just typed VNC server, and I assumed that it let itself figure itself out. I probably should have typed all of this, and this tells you how big to make the screen, but I just let it figure itself out. I could be wrong though. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Now, by default, the Raspberry Pi has a user named Pi, and the password is Raspberry. I think. Or the password is Pi. Or I've forgotten the password. Also possible. Okay? So look. So now...
Wait, so was it Raspberry?
Yeah.
Nice.
So in this case, look. So this is Windows. I want to make sure you're clear. We're on my Windows machine.
Yes.
I'm running this viewer. And the viewer is giving me a view of the Raspberry Pi. So this is nice. So now I could theoretically, this is really important, I could theoretically unplug it from the monitor now, couldn't I?
Oh, yeah.
Because I have one here, right? So I can come out here and look. Remember I said I typed like ifconfig? Here's my IP address, right? And then earlier I typed host name, and then I typed who am I? So now I know who I am. I'm the user called Pi, and we're on this location. So now I have a running, ready to go Raspberry Pi. Now, this is
what I love about what you just did. You looked at this and you said, you're such a maker, right? You looked at this and you said, I have this problem. There's this monitor. The viewers can't see what I'm looking at. Oh, here's a solution. Let's figure out how to do it. You know, and I think that when I think about what a tinkerer is and what a maker is, and really just what people in tech do, that's exactly what they do. They find a solution to a problem. They do a search. They muddle around a bit, and they do it.
You know, that's a really great point, because I don't think people realize that when you call your local techie for tech support and you want help from them, you wonder, what do they know that I don't know? I think that we don't know anything more. We're just not afraid to mess up. You know what I mean? My non-technical parent will call me, and I don't know. Start clicking. I mean, back up your stuff and start clicking because I have no idea what's going on. You know what I mean?
Generic technical advice.
Right.
Back
And
up.
yeah, and then I will go and fix it, and then they'll be like, "Oh, you're amazing." I'm like, "Really not. Really did nothing impressive at all." Yeah. So let's go back over here and see. Okay. So at this point, I wonder what we can do. Do we have Python?
Oh, wait, you can't see your screen yet.
Oh, sorry. Pardon me. Let's go here. There we go. So I just typed Python, and I typed 2 + 2.
Oh, great. We do have.
All right. So we do have Python, and I made a mistake, and that mistake worked. There you go. See? So then, and this was a stretch goal, by the way. Do you want to try to make something blink?
Sure, let's do it.
I have no idea if this will work. And if I do blow something up, at least I've got another Raspberry
You got a
Pi.
story out of it.
Okay. So you and I always talk about that LED moment, don't we? You know, that's that sense of like, success. I did it. So let's go over here and search Raspberry Pi LED blink, LED control. Blinking up. Look at that, LED blinking with a Raspberry Pi. We're not the first people to have ever thought of this idea. Okay, so there's this thing called a GPIO, General Purpose Input Output. This is the thing that's built into the Raspberry Pi. This is what most computers don't have. The idea that I can control pins on it. So you see this picture here? They want us to go and make some resistors and some wires. This is all very dramatic and very scary. You can go and buy these little kits. So I went and bought a kit. They give you it's called a little breadboard. A little breadboard here. It's just a little plastic board.
Why is it called a breadboard?
You know, I don't know. Let's find out.
It makes me hungry every time.
Why is it called a bread board? I love that they suggest that, which means, again, we're not the same person. Oh, my goodness. Originally, it was literally a breadboard, a polished piece of wood used for slicing bread. That is why. It is called a breadboard because it's a breadboard. Someone before us put bread on it and then put electronics on it and stuck the things into it. So that's awesome.
I love that jump just from bread to electronics.
No, I think it's great. So here's a breadboard, and what's interesting about these is that they make it possible for you to do little experiments without doing any soldering, right? So I can go and take these little wires. These are great. You cannot have too many of these.
What are those called?
I don't know what these are called. Oh, maybe someone will tell us.
Wires?
Little wires. No, there's a word for them. I forget, but they're just these little pre-set up cables, and when you plug them in here, the one thing you need to know about a breadboard, keeping in mind that I don't know anything about anything, is that there's a pattern. So you see the blue here. Let's see if we can get that in focus. Pardon me. Actually, let me do this if you don't mind. I'm going to switch back to that wonderful camera because we have it. All right. So back over here.
Yes.
We've got these are called rails, right? And the power, these are connected. Imagine that this is a big long, like a rail, like a railing. If I put a wire at the end here and another wire at the other end, those two wires are connected to each other now by wires, like by a rail, a metal rail underneath that. So these go this way, but these go this way, go vertically. So that means that this guy here, if I want to connect to him, I just put it somewhere here. This whole line is lit up.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a little bit confusing. Let me see if I can find a better example, because I have a lot of these lying around and they are varying colors. This one is clear, which is a little bit hard to see, but I think I have a white one that might be easier. All the chaos in the background. You know, I can go looking for that, but it'll slow us down. Let me give you an example of why this is interesting. When you go and you get some chips and stuff and start plugging chips in, you know, you're like, I don't know if that's the right thing to push on, so I don't want to, hang on, there we go. I'm trying to get the focus. The number one thing about webcams is focus, isn't it? You know what I mean? Let's get real close and see if there we go.
There we go.
You might say, I don't want to solder that, but I want to do stuff with it. So you could put a wire in the hole, and this is just sitting in that hole. So this is where you do your prototyping, okay? So back to this, if we bring it up real close.
Okay,
There
so
we go.
in that example, how is the blue thing and the white thing connected?
In this case, they are not.
Okay.
Excellent. So here they are. So let's look at this. I'm going to put it like that. So the blue wire comes over. Let me get it in focus again. One of these days we need to invest in some way to focus. It'll be a light. It'll be like a game changer for Marches for Makers. Someone can buy us a camera. This is connected to this,
Yes.
which goes over.
Yep.
And notice that these are next to each other right here. Again, going vertically.
Yes. Yes.
The resistor is next to that.
Yes.
Which then goes over to here.
Yep.
And then goes into there.
Got it.
Okay. And LEDs are kind of cool. One leg is longer. And I think the longer one, we have to check, but the longer one is the negative leg. But I'm going to actually, because I don't want to blow up the world, I'm going to go and double check on that.
Okay.
LED, I'm Googling for LED long leg. Longer one is positive.
The longer one is positive.
Longer one is positive.
So if you switch them around, does it actually like
it might just burn out depending on how much voltage I decided to give it. So the longer one's positive. So this is my negative and this is my positive. And then I'm going to look at that picture. So we'll go back over to here and we'll see which way things go. And it says, be careful, you might burn out your LED. But of course, you got lots of LEDs. So we'll figure it out. So one idea then would be for us to plug these into each other. So how are we going to do that, right? We've got our Raspberry Pi. Actually, we're on this one right now. We've got this row of pins here. How do I get this row of pins here to talk to this row of pins? Well, it turns out that they make all different flavors of these little wires. Some are male and some are female. So what we need is a female to male switch here, connection here, exactly. Because I want to go out of here and into that board. Okay. So let's see if I have anything like that. And these, again, you can't have too many of these. You just have them lying around. So there's an example of one right there. Yeah. Make sense? So keeping in mind, I still don't know what I'm doing. And this is the thing, right? Like, I want you to make sure that folks understand that we aren't the experts. Very likely there are experts who are watching this and going, oh my God, what are these people doing? And that's okay, right? I think you and I are okay with that. Judge us, please.
Totally fine with that.
Okay. So I'm looking here. I'm going to switch over to my screen and show you what I'm looking at. And then once again, the Google application has decided to not let me share my screen. Oh. Sorry. But I wonder why that is. That's so weird. Yeah, I hit share and there's nothing. So I'm going to be right back.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
All right. That's weird. I don't know why it keeps happening. A little magic there. I'm back on this other page here that says using a Raspberry Pi to blink an LED. And it gives you this what they call a pinout. And that is literally you can hold up your Raspberry Pi and look at the pins and see which one's pin 1 and which one's pin 2. And it'll tell you. So I'm just looking at those and figuring out that, pin 1 is you get the 5 volt here. You got your ground there.
So the different pins do different things?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So in this, pin 9 is the ground. And they're saying pin 11 is GPIO 17. Let me see where that is. General purpose input output 17. Right? There's that. And they're saying pin 9 is ground, which I think is wrong because I'm looking here and it's pretty clearly pin 6.
Yeah.
So that's disturbing.
Yeah,
that is the magic of finding things online, isn't it, though? Right? And, who knows how many people have been killed.
So what happens if you use the wrong pin? Is the difference just in power or is it something else?
So it all depends. I mean, I'm not an electrical engineer, but you can check out some of our blogs that we did with electrical engineers. And it depends. If you send too much current the wrong direction, you can just go poof, and then your LED stops working. Or nothing can happen, or something might happen if you left it like that for a while. Ultimately, you shouldn't worry too much with low voltage like this. The worst you can do is damage the thing you're working on.
Okay. Would you damage the Raspberry Pi?
Theoretically, if you shoved voltage back into one of these, like if you took this voltage and went back into those, you could maybe make it upset. If you took, I don't know, if you took more than 5 volts, it probably would just reboot. Theoretically, if you kept doing it, I think it would probably go bad after a while. But that's a great question. That's above my pay grade. So I'm going to put one of these little guys on ground, which is, it looks like pin 6.
Yeah.
Not knowing what I'm doing. I keep saying that like it matters, but I want to make sure that people are clear that we're newbies too, and we're having all kinds of fun. And then I'm going to take the other one, and let me just go ahead and...
Oh, we can't. There you go.
Yeah. Well, every time I switch my camera, I think we take a risk that I'll never be back again.
That's okay. We'll just refresh.
Yeah. So here, I took my pin 6 to ground, and I stuck it over here on that blue rail.
So is there a label that says pin 6, or are you just counting?
So I'm assuming, looking at the thing here, that it is upper left corner is so usually there's a label, and I can see here it says GP10. I think that's where that starts.
Okay.
But you can get a magnifying glass and see, but I am assuming that this way is up. And that's 1, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's what I'm assuming.
That's what I would have assumed too.
You can check that if you want. We could go and get a multimeter.
Oh, whoa! What is that? What is that all about?
So a multimeter would be a way for us to go and check that. So I suppose we could do this. Let me lift this up a little bit. I got one of these when Radio Shack went out of business. Nice. Mostly because I wanted to feel like I was smart, because I still don't really know how to use it, right? Okay, so I could turn that on and have it sitting here. And then I theoretically could test pins 2 and 6, where 2 is ground.
You look really cool right now, by the way.
Oh, I know. I feel cool.
Totally.
You see, it doesn't actually say anything because I don't think we told that pin to turn on. I'm going to write that code. We have to turn that code on. Gotcha. So let me plug this in the way I think it works, and we'll try to turn some code on, and then when the code's running, we'll go and use the multimeter. Okay. Okay. Who knows? Maybe it'll work. And even if it ends not working, we'll poke around and we'll learn something. Right? And then hopefully, actually, you could probably check our Twitter right now, because someone's probably saying, "Don't cut the blue wire." Or something bad like that. Okay. Yeah. So all I've done, it looks like this is a thing. Breadboards turn into a mess of wires very, very quickly. All I've done is I plugged in the 2 pins from ground and into the rail here. I figure red for positive, blue for ground. I have not plugged these guys in yet. Oops, I'm sorry, my hands are fat. Sorry, hang on. I have not plugged these in yet. Okay. Okay, they're not connected to power. Okay. I'm going to go back and we're going to write a little Python and see if that works. Okay. And then what we do is we'll have that application running. So here's the application. This is a little Python app. And I don't know if this is going to work. We never rehearsed this, right? So here we're going to say, using the GPIO library and the time library, we're going to make a function called blink. And it's going to go and take a pin, and it's going to make it high, meaning high voltage. It's going to wait a second, and then it's going to make it low. That's all it's going to do. And pin is whatever number we pass in. So here it's saying, pin 11, which
is confusing.
Which is confusing. Okay, I see. So they're taking the voltage off of a different pin. So we'll go and switch that. But this will be great. We can pick these numbers ourselves. And then it's just going to spin for a while and then clean up. So I'm going to just take that text, copy it. I'm going to go back over to the Raspberry Pi here. Now, I didn't touch it for a while, so it fell asleep. Yeah, what did we do last time? Height VNC. Saying it's busy.
Oh. Do we have
I
to
don't know if
disconnect?
well, I'm going to reboot it. I may have angered it. Remember I said that sometimes poking around at these things will make them mad?
Set something off? Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? So and the great way to reboot a Raspberry Pi is you pull the cable out and you do it over again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here it's just blinking. I'll switch back and show you that. See this right here?
Yes. That light?
That light is the I'm booting up light.
Ah, okay.
They don't take too long to boot up. And again, I can have it plugged into my screen, and I should see it boot up. So I'm going to try that again. And then we'll look at our screen. That way we know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's doing its thing.
Great. Even just looking at that, you look really legit.
It does feel pretty legit right now. The multimeter was the highlight, though, I got to say. Kite VNC, did we not say? Oops. Kite VNC server. And that's a way to make sure that those things start up automatically. Okay, and then we'll go over here. So now I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. I'm in the Pi folder. I think I can go to the desktop and I can type VI. This is an editor. These are kind of hard. There's different editors to use. And if I remember correctly, there's a way to paste the text from Windows, right? Because I've got all that Python sitting right here.
Oh, right.
Remember, I've got that on my clipboard, and I'm going
to clear those lines.
Those line numbers there. I need to get them over to the Pi. Now, if we had more time, we could set up a file share, and we could have the Pi and the Windows machine talking to each other, and that would be cool, right? You can also click transfer files if you get that set up as well. But I just want to go and paste that in. So the question is going to be how to do that. That's not working. So another
trying to do just Command V.
What's that?
Were you trying to just do Command V?
I was trying to do Command V. So it's in the RPI blog. So here's another way we'll do it. And again, people are watching maybe thinking we're idiots, but we're not. We're just learning. There are always better ways to do that, right? So we're going to go and use their tiny web browser. And you'll notice that
there's a tiny web browser.
It's so bad. It's a little tiny web browser. It used to be called Midori.
That's an adorable name.
RPI blog LED blink.
So I noticed that you went to a different resource because we started with the Instructables.
Yeah, I did, but then I found that I thought this one was nicer because I liked that they had a little bit of code and a little bit. Because sometimes videos are fun, but sometimes you just want to.
You just want to see stuff.
I just want to see stuff, so I kind of like this idea.
Yeah.
So I did. You're right. You saw my bait and switch there. I decided to maybe change it. So here, I'm going to just copy paste this code.
Okay.
Okay. We'll minimize this. And I'm going to give up on VI, and people are going to tease me for it. There's got to be a text editor in here that's like a normal text editor for normal humans. You're thinking it. Link.py. Okay. So there's blink. So that's going to make that blink. Now, again, I don't know if this is going to work or not because I'm skipping, we're just goofing around here. Python.
No access to.
By running as root. Sudo blink py. Okay, so something's happening.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. Something's happening. We don't know. Could be doing nothing. Could be crashed. So let's go back over here.
Trying. I like to believe that it's trying.
I like to believe it's trying too. I believe that it cares about us and that it wants us to succeed.
Yes.
So we said port 11. Maybe you can bring up that web page 2, and we can see.
What was the search that you did again?
It was RPI blog.
RPI blog.
And we were looking at, they put this on port 11, which is 6 pins from the lower corner. And then they had the ground, which was the third one from the top.
Yes.
So the third one from the top is the ground. And 6 in from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes, 6 in.
2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. Is it still doing something, or did it stop? Thinking.
In this pose, pin 9. It's weird that it says pin 9. That's really bothering me.
It is concerning. Let's see if anyone in the bottom. Did anyone at the bottom in the thing say, "Oops, that's wrong"? There's all sorts of really interesting comments in the bottom. Is there a GUI for this?
For the comments?
Yeah. Someone said work the first time. So they're saying pin 11. In this post, pin 9 is used for ground.
Right, maybe you want to try pin
Try
9.
those two then. Okay, that's 5 in and 6 in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, might be that I don't know how to use this thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, let's take a battery and test it. Because I might be doing it wrong. Oh, here we go.
Oh, great.
Okay, let's try it over here. So we said 5 and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, I see stuff.
So something's thinking.
Something's happening. Is that low?
That looks low to me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure how big it's supposed to be.
So I would assume 5 volts, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I think if we did our jobs, it would go up and down, wouldn't it?
Oh, it is? Or is that you moving it?
Well, it could be our decimal point too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That doesn't look like much.
No.
Certainly not enough to light something up. Okay. So let's go back and see. So it stopped running. Okay, so I'm going to run it again. It ran on a timer. So now it's running again.
Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh.
It is doing something.
Yeah, it's doing it. It's going up.
Holy crap. Okay, hang on. I'm freaking out. Okay, hang on. So which one is the power? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the pin, right?
Yeah.
And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was the ground, right? Okay. Scandalous. All right. Trying to do this in a way to not have my hands be in the way. Like there's no good way to
No, you're doing pretty well.
I could do it like this. All right. So let's see what happens. The long leg is the positive, right?
Yes.
Okay. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum.
Oh, it's doing.
We are the freaking champions.
That was amazing.
How amazing are we?
That was awesome.
Ron, Code Newbie, Marches for Makers, my friend. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm invincible at this point. You know what I mean? Like no one can stop me. I made a freaking LED blink and a Raspberry Pi. I am winning at life. You did a great job. Thank you for your support and your help.
Thank you.
Look at that. We did it, dude. Okay, so now what do we do?
I think we might drop and then we go to sleep.
I think we do. But this is the thing, though, right? What will we do next? That's what's
Right.
exciting about pulling something like this off, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do next?
Gotta raise the bar for next time.
We got to, now you start thinking about, well, maybe I can make a button that makes the LED light, or maybe I can get something to make it spin, or to do, whatever. Like the sky is the limit, and we did it in about an hour.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty good.
From nothing to a light that blinks.
Mm-hmm.
That's very powerful. Very exciting. Well,
So between the two of us, you're definitely like the tinkerer. Oh, look at you! You're so excited. I love that excited face.
You know what I mean? The thing is that you want to make a light blink no matter what platform you've got, whether it be a Raspberry Pi or an Arduino. There's so many different things that'll make lights blink, but it's all the beginning, right? It's all the start. What do you do next is what the interesting bits are. But I hope that people enjoyed this and that they put up with our technical difficulties and our little bit of joy here.
No, we did. I think we did pretty good. And so for you, when you see something like that, right? When you see the light blink and all the connections and all that, I feel like there are probably wheels turning in your head right now of like, oh, let me do all these other things. What other ideas come to mind when you have those little wins as you're making?
Well, so this is a little bit overkill for making a light blink, but for me, the thing that always like my brain turns on is that, wait a second, we just made software and hardware work together.
Come together.
Like it's the reminder that like even your garage door opener has software in there somewhere, It also makes me realize how little I understand. I mean, I have a general sense, but I still feel like people can throw around amps and volts and watts and milliwatts and stuff in a way that I'm not able to keep up.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I always feel a little bit like an imposter when I start hearing about people saying technical, electrical engineering type terms, but I don't have a background in electrical engineering. I have a background in messing around.
That sounds like a better background person.
Yeah, we're having fun though, aren't we? Cool. So I hope that this helps some people, and I realize it was long-winded, but this was literally from unboxing until the LED moment in a reasonable amount of time. And I'm going to just put it back again and make it blink just because I need to see it blink. Yeah, it's working. I'm going to try something here. If I unplug it and I unplug the cables, can you see?
Yes, I can see it.
See?
Ooh.
It's happening.
It's so blue. Is it blue? Is it that blue?
It's hella blue.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can even get what are called RGB LEDs, and then you can have multiple ones talking in parallel. Like once you can make one LED blink, you can make a dance party. You can have when people touch the ground, the lights flash. You can have it listen to music. We can make an iPod now. The world is our oyster.
That's awesome.
Cool.
I like the party one. Might have to do the party one.
Dance party.
Just get lots of disco ball LED.
All month long, marchesformakers.com. And I would encourage everyone who watched and who is watching this to please tweet. We're not getting rich on this. We're doing this in our spare time and fun and having lots of fun. We want you to make your stuff as well and have that LED moment that we just had.
And if you do mess around and make some LEDs blink, please let us know. We'd love to see pictures, videos, tweets, whatever you got. We'd love to celebrate with you. So make sure to stay tuned at marchesformakers.com, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.